we were all gathered up and sent to camps because they thought they were saboteurs and spies for the Japanese government. But in all those years, there was not one person who was caught that was, or there was not any person that was a spy.
When they bombed Pearl Harbor, I was about 7 and a half or something. And, people that were your friends were no longer your friends, that called your names, you didn't want to go to school, And then the executive order came to that all the Japanese had to go to camps, and you could only take what you could carry. So if I lived in this house, I could only take my clothes and pictures or something. I'd have to leave everything. And then, we didn't know how long we'd be put into camp. I mean, you'd expect to stay there 3 years. So people were selling their refrigerators, their bedding, their couches, their everything. And, people knew that we had to go to camp and we had to take what they'd give us, like $10 for the refrigerator it was awful. And you had to go, even though we were American citizens, we were born here, my mother was born here, but they took us anyway.
We all took a train to Pinedale, Fresno, California, and that was the first camp we went to. It was called an assembly camp, and it was so hot. My grandfather used to put water on the cement floors in the barracks. They had built barracks for us to stay in, and we were allowed they were like 4 people to a room. So we had 2 rooms, one next to each other, because we had so many in our family. And so we had cots for beds, and then we all went to eat in the mess hall. There was a mess hall where we went to eat, and there was a laundry room where we had to do our laundry and things. And that's where the children we used to play, like we'd roller skate and things, where we would roller skate in the laundry room, because that was cement floors, and it would be smooth.
And my father was taken by the FBI immediately because he owned a business, and anybody that owned a business, they figure were a threat, to the government. Maybe they have connections with people in Japan and stuff, so they were put in another camp. So my mother and father were separated right at the beginning of the war, and not reunited for a year or 2. So my sister was only a year old, and she knew my father, but when he came back from camp, maybe 2 years later, and she was only 1 then, she was never close to my dad after that. He came to live in the house, and she wanted to know who the stranger was.
Fifth grade. So we had grammar school, and we had there was a high school for the older people, and they had some older teenagers or such help the teachers. They were like teachers' aides.
My mother worked in the mess hall, and my father, when he finally came, he worked in the fire department.
Yeah, we left camp for a day, or for a day we were released to go pick top sugar beets, pick potatoes, and we were paid like 5 cents a bag. Yes, when we were in Pinedale, we had sentries in the posts, the 4 corner posts of the camp, and they had guns, and they were watching to make sure that no one escaped through the fences. I was in Pinedale, the first camp, and my best girlfriend in Hood River came down to the camp, and she could not come in the fence. She had to be outside the fence. She and her father came. Her father brought her, and we were holding hands at the fence. And we were talking. She was saying how sorry she was, and she wished that we could be together. Yeah, we were holding hands. I'll never forget that. And then one time after the war, I went to Hood River with my father and brothers, and I went to see her and her mother and father, and they welcomed me. They were very nice. They were asking me to stay one night with them, but I couldn't.
They said that you could go any place in the United States. You know, they would pay the fare, wherever. So, because they were so mean to us in California, my father didn't want to go back. So he chose Chicago. So we've been here ever since.